The Niners invest in their D-line again in the first round. Shanahan gets his burner at receiver. You're listening to West Coast Offense, a 49ers podcast. My name is Ceez. I got my big brother Al with me.
What's up? Let's talk football, man.
Dude, let's talk some red and gold. And, man, there is a lot to get into. But we're going to start with that first round pick. The number 13 that ended up being the number 14th overall pick because John Lynch, the crook that he is, ended up getting
thief in the night is what I like to call him.
Thief in the night for sure. He got picked 117 to trade back with the Bucs, so the Niners ended up picking at pick number 14. They take Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. Dude, this is in my eyes like a fucking shocker. And
big
also,
shocker, really.
Dude, all right, what are your thoughts on this, man? Because this is, I know that a lot of Niner fans, they got some feelings about this one.
Yeah, no, I thought we were going wide receiver with what we had there right in our laps. We had the pick of the litter. We were going wide receiver. The can't miss wide receivers, right? This is a deep wide receiver class, and instead we trade back with the Bucs. You know, of course I'm shocked. I'm shocked. That's the first thing that I'm thinking. We have to go wide receiver, and we don't go wide receiver with our first pick, Yeah.
No, dude, it's crazy because, all the stars were aligning for Shanny to get any wide receiver wanted besides Henry Ruggs because the Raiders drafted him, but they could have had CeeDee Lamb if he loved him, if they could have had Jerry Jeudy, and those are the two dudes that you really heard just great things about. Like, this was a deep wide receiver class, but from all the mock drafts and just all of the big boards, it seemed like it was Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, 1 and 2, and they just like really flip-flop positions. And Jerry Jeudy went like the pick right after, fucking Drew Lock and John Elway were ecstatic because they're like, damn, the Niners didn't take Jerry Jeudy. We're going to snatch his ass up in a second. Dude, and so we might have just gifted him there.
Was that an inside job with Lynch? With Lynchy there?
Maybe. You know what? They always got a little. They got the ultimate bromance, bro. They were always making trades with them.
I know.
There might be some insider shit going on there, man. The league might look into like some tampering shit.
Maybe Lynch lost the bet, and he's like, "You got to let this one slide."
He's like, "Fuck, man, I can't draft Jay Dewey now because your ass. It's because he lost in golf or something."
I know something
Dude.
stupid. But
So they end up getting Javon Kinlaw. So I mean, PFF. He has the highest two-year pass rushing grade from PFF of any player in the 2020 NFL Draft. It's just crazy because I just laughed my ass off when I heard the pick. Not because I think Javon Kinlaw is a bad player or anything.
No.
Like I didn't see him play that much, and you hear about the wide receivers, and that's the sexy pick. You want that first-round receiver. Not to be A.J. Jenkins, you don't want him to be like Jerry. You want him to be like a fucking just a baller. Like last time we drafted a first rounder at wide receiver, it was A.J. Jenkins. So we wanted them to obviously improve on that. But that's the sexy pick. Wide receivers, you got the Antonio Browns on the cover of fucking Madden and Calvin Johnson. Like it's that in like quarterback. But it's just because knowing that. The Niners have invested so many first-round picks the last few years, and it goes from Defoe to Armstead, Solomon Thomas to Bosa, now Kinlaw. Like McGlinchey's like the only dude where they didn't draft, and it's just because what the reaction was going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And that Niner fans were going to be living. I thought that shit was fucking hilarious. But I mean, how do you feel about it now? I think it's that in the moment you're kind of just. God damn, again? We're destined to be drafting D linemen till the end of time. But now that after a few minutes and a day, like how do you now feel about the pick?
Not sitting back on it. I the strength of the team was the D line, and that's the thing people talked about the most. So for them to lose DeForest Buckner, or not lose, but we're just not able to keep everybody, just can't pay everybody. We got to make moves somewhere. And this is where they found that they could make a move in getting Javon Kinlaw. And exactly what you just say, his ratings are up there. I'm like, man, I like this guy. I like this guy a lot. And it's funny that you say a baller. Remember, we didn't get a baller in the sense of a wide receiver, but I think we got a baller at the D line again. Maybe
Yeah.
he won't be Defoe, but maybe he will be able to, next man up kind of situation. Hey, you're here. We're not asking you to be him, especially
Yeah.
year one after what he's done for us, but we're definitely asking you to step up for the number one pick. And there was a big drop off at defensive tackle. It was Brown out of Auburn, and then you got Kinlaw. And after that, that was it. So I'm like, okay, then we got one of the best, defensive tackles in the game, in college, obviously. And that's who we drafted. So that's, now that I sit back, I'm like, okay, I got to be reasonable now, right? We didn't get the sexy pick, but we got the dog in the trenches kind of situation. We're like, hey, this is how we got it. We're gonna try to run it back with what we're getting, coming back already, and let's go.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just running that shit back because, I mean, Niner fans want to be upset that we drafted another D lineman, but hey, it was all those fucking D linemen that we drafted in the last few years that got us to the Super Bowl. And now, so if you want to get back there, I think his state of mind was, I'm going to keep the strength of the team for years to come. And so this is a tweet from PFF Mike Renner on Twitter. So Kinlaw has the highest pass rushing win rate of any defensive tackle in college football over the past 2 seasons at 15.4, and he even admitted he only had a few moods. Dude is just scratching the surface of what he could become. So
he's a little raw from what I've been reading too.
Yeah, it seems like he has a lot of upside, and maybe he didn't come in as polished as Defoe did, and it's gonna be pressure on dude because it would have been easier for that first round pick if it would have been a wide receiver or a skilled position player because you didn't play the same position as Defoe, but Defoe was a fan favorite. He's been here for so many years, and when we were terrible, and we got to see him going from a terrible team, the Tom Sewell years, to then all right, now we're Super Bowl contenders. So and it was sad to see him go. So he's gonna have some big shoes to fill. From in DeForest Buckner. So it's gonna be interesting. But don't you feel like it almost was Lynch is just ensuring that this D line is going to be the strength for years to come because they made their choice. It seemed very apparent when it was going to be either Armstead or Defoe. They were going to pick one of them. They signed Armstead, and then I thought they were just going to let Defoe probably walk or maybe franchise tag him next year or whatever. But they thought ahead, and they're like, no, we're going to get somebody that's cheaper, that's going to be under team control for at least a couple years.
When you look at the money, there's no what is he getting from the Colts? $80 million plus. And Kinlaw is going to be less than 20 for a good 4 or 5 years, like you said, and under team control for quite a bit of time. I mean, it only makes sense. You know what I mean? There's just no way they could pay everybody. Kittle's got to get paid. Obviously they're going to want to keep Bosa. So it's just going to get to the point where they're going to have to make a decision somewhere. And unfortunately, they made it in default, but they played it right, I think, because they got a first round pick out of it. You know what I mean? And we got somebody who's was dominant in college that hopefully comes close to bringing that into the NFL. Just shoring up the D line even more. And I think another thing, we're not asking them to play every down. They like to rotate their defensive line, so it's not going to be all that pressure on him to go in there. I mean, I think another person we kind of forgetting about is DJ Jones. Remember, he got hurt.
Dude, everybody got hurt.
Good.
All the only D linemen that felt like that were hurt, that were healthy, were all the first round picks.
Imagine that.
DJ Jones, Ronald Blair, they're all dropping like flies, week after week after week. They're getting fucking hurt, and you're like, God damn. So is that going to happen again? I mean, you certainly hope not, and you don't bet that that's going to happen. So you make a good point where he's not going to have. We're not asking him to be that, I guess, what DeForest Buckner was asked to be when we first drafted him, and Eric Armstead to just be, dude, you got to produce on a D line where you got nobody else really to help you. But now he's got Bosa from one side, D Ford from the other, Armstead there beside him, so he's not going to be commanding so much attention, and he might be eating, bro. Are we looking at another defensive player of the year candidate? I mean, shit.
Could it be a worse? I mean, it could have been a worse situation for him, he got into a pretty good situation. He even talked about it with Debo. You know what I mean? He was open about. They've already spoken
they were
about
teammates.
this, right? Yeah, they were teammates.
South Carolina.
And he said he wanted to play. If they asked him if he wanted to play for a line out there, he said the Niners. That's the D line he wanted to play for. You know, because I'm sure Debo was talking to how the locker room is. He's like, dude, that's where I want to go. You know, and then I mean, he gets his wish. Like, come on, this dude's coming in. He's ready to go. I'm ready for the season to start. Let's just get going. Put this dude on the line. Let's see what's up.
Dude, and then we seen you see Von Miller's reaction to the
I saw the reaction too. Come on, he's exactly
pissed.
like
he's
like, dude, how greedy
God
can we be?
It.
But we got to be greedy.
Yeah, the rich get richer, man. Because what did he say? I think his line in that reaction video was something like he wanted the Broncos to draft him.
Yeah.
So because
he knew they were going wide
receiver,
receiver, but he wanted somebody there with him too, and you know he's like it takes the pressure off him. So hey, if he brings it in this line and we're rotating him in, and we're not asking him to do everything, we're asking him to be part of this whole cast here. I think it's a good pick at the end. After it all, aftermath kind of pick. Let the dust settle. No wide receiver, but I'm pretty happy. I like good defense, man. I like our defense last year. Let's do it again.
Hell yeah! And I know with you, the Niners have a history. I mean, this podcast is called West Coast Offense, but that's during the 80s and the 90s they had a good defense, but it was the offense that was really like the bread and butter and the calling card of this organization. But for you, I know like you have that love for the P. Willies and Justin Smith and that era, that hard-nosed football, and like that's what is this era now. Is really like the strength is the defense. But I mean, you just look at it. We got Bose under team control for a few years. They just re-upped Armstead. Now we got Kinlaw. Who knows what's going to happen to D Ford? But we're going to have a pass rush for years to come, which feels pretty fucking nice. And
it does.
That's the you gotta love it, man. You love to see it.
You do.
Another reaction that I loved was Javon Kinlaw's dad. I mean, that was one of the best moments of the fucking draft. He's rolling around on the ground and shit, just in pure happiness.
Yeah. Or even after the fact, he's all arms stretched out, like, "What's up? You know, we're here. He's coming." Dude, that just tells me, man. He loved it. He loved it. He knows his son's gonna. He's gonna do good things. That's what he
his
feels.
Dad, his pops was a Niner fan. Like I don't know how that happened from being like South Carolina, but just with like Kendrick Bourne, he has this. You could tell, man loves wearing the red and gold, and you just want players that, yes, that's a situation where they wanted to go to, because you just have a feeling that they're gonna put in the work and be like, nah, this is where I wanted to be. This is a situation where I feel like I can flourish. And that's where we're at, man. And so they invest in the D line once again. So any final thoughts on this Kinlaw pick before we move into the to their other first round pick?
No, I'm good with it. I want to see him produce, and I hope good things out of it. You know, it's still my team, and I gotta trust, Shanahan, and then I gotta trust Lynch and the decisions they've made. So, they've done good so far. So I'm good.
Yeah, and one last thing is, like, just trusting the plan, and this does seem like it's the game plan, because Shanahan, when talking about their like organizational philosophy, he explained the philosophy on like investing high round draft picks in the D line or in defense, where he said it's possible to succeed with lesser talent and a strong scheme offensively. On defense, however, you forget trickery; it's all about talent, and that's exactly what they did. And so it falls in line with exactly what he wanted, because they seemed super juiced at the Javon Kinlaw pick, but there was a gleam in Shanahan's eye when he got his other first-round pick, which is Brandon Aiyuk. So Niners were picking at 31. They swapped first-round picks with the Vikings, and they give up the 117 pick that they got from the Bucs, and then also gave up the 176 was the fifth-round pick to the Vikings. They take Brandon Aiyuk out of Arizona State. Your thoughts?
I was surprised that they jumped up, and then they, I didn't know what they were going to do on the back end of this round one, I was like, okay, what's going to happen? I was just waiting for the pick to come. I didn't think they were going to trade up. And then when it first came through, at first I was like, with the last name like that, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, it's usually like bad stuff. You know what I mean? You're just like, no way. But I mean, once you start looking at the numbers, and he's up there with the top receivers in college football as far as yards after the catch, and now I'm okay with it. I like it. I like the pick. And if this is who Shanahan wanted, again, I gotta trust that Shanahan knows his receivers. You know what I mean? He knows the guys he wants in his offense.
Yeah,
most definitely. No, I'm okay with it.
So
sure.
I mean, we look at I just first. So he hasn't drafted a first round wide receiver in the first round until Brandon Aiyuk, but second round wide receivers he took Dante Pettis. He took Debo. So he's 1 for 2. He's still batting 500 there. I mean, with that kind of average, you're gonna get in the Hall of Fame if you're batting 500. But so
you're already counting. Hold on, you're already counting out Pettis. Oh,
I'm already
man.
counting him. I'm already writing him off, bro. He's in my doghouse now. Forget Shanahan's doghouse. That's my doghouse. A little bit harder to get out of.
Yeah, that's true, right?
I got love for Pettis though, man. We want to see him succeed on this podcast.
I do.
But
I definitely
imagine if he emerges. Imagine if he fucking balls out, and he's got to feel some sort of way. You're a second-round pick that the Niners. We're not going to go on a Dante Pettis rant here. We'll leave that for another time. But I'm excited to see how he's going to react to this, because he just saw in back-to-back years the Niners invest a first and a second-round pick into the wide receiver.
Yep.
So it's like, come on, dude. Like, it's time to put up or shut up this year. And so Brandon Aiyuk, another Niner fan. I don't know if you've seen the thing he posted on Twitter.
I did. I just saw it.
Well, he said it was a tweet. It was already written. 4 years old. So excited to be part of the 49ers organization. Hashtag faithful. He's got the Niner turtleneck again.
Bro.
You love to see it. I mean, the turtleneck, that's a hell of a play. But dude, he's another Niner fan. And then once you start reading his what was it? So another stat from PFF was Brandon Aiyuk averaged 9.9 yards after the catch in his career at Arizona State. Another first in the 2020 NFL draft. So the Niners got somebody who's like the highest pass rushing win rate with Javon Kinlaw, and then now at wide receiver they got another yak god. They got another Debo. Like, this dude takes it to the house or just gets crazy yak all the fucking time. Doesn't that sound just like a Shanahan pick? That's like right up his alley.
That's exactly. Obviously, I'm gut reaction. Like, I'm not watching all this college football. I'll see some of these big games, see the big names and things like that, and see how it's going to play out, because I know I'm going to see these guys in the NFL. But I mean, when I start looking at the numbers and I'm looking at some of the highlights, I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, this is exactly the kind of guy that Shanahan wants on his team. A lot of screens, a lot of slants, and he's just taking it to the house.
Yeah, which is crazy. And they talk about his wingspan. Yeah, he has a wingspan of 6'9".
6'9".
Yeah, you know what? And I died a little bit inside when I read that, because essentially he is Emmanuel Sanders' replacement. And if Brandon Aiyuk is on the field, then maybe Jimmy doesn't overthrow him in the Super Bowl, or at least he could pull like a Michael Jordan via Space Jam and extend those long ass arms, and maybe he catches it and rolls into the end zone, and we're talking Super Bowl champions right now.
Somebody's gonna go in there and look at that video and putting Brandon Aiyuk's arms there to see if he would have caught it.
Just Photoshop, man. Just stretch him out a little bit, and you see the ball just fall right into his hands. That could have happened. And so I was like, God damn it, Jimmy. Yeah. I started like having cold sweats, and like, why didn't we just have Brandon Aiyuk? We drafted him a year or two late.
Yeah,
but it's crazy with that wingspan, and I mean, this wide receiving, this depth chart is gonna be competitive. It seems like each and every single year it's getting more competitive. We lost Emmanuel Sanders, but we're almost gaining 3 receivers. We got Trent Taylor coming back. Jalen Hurd. It's like, damn, this is gonna be, man. This might end up becoming one of the strengths of the team if all these dudes kind of pan out. Trent Taylor, we know what he can do if he's healthy. Jalen Hurd, from those glimpses from him. I mean, you were at the Cowboys preseason game. You see him fucking just be an absolute beast. I mean, and it's also still in line with their philosophy. And I think it wasn't a splash because he wasn't the CeeDee Lambs or he wasn't, the Jerry Jeudy's, but you got to be happy because with Kinlaw, they invested in the strength of their team, and then it feels like they did get better and younger at the wide receiver position. So they did address. How do you feel about, I don't know who would have been the player they would have gotten, but besides wide receiver, like if they do, the other need was probably cornerback, right?
Cornerback, that was another need.
So,
but I think at that time, though, I'd have to look back at it, but I think a lot of cornerbacks were coming off the board as far as, I don't know. I mean, if what I would have liked to seen is gone with that, the predictable, like let's get, Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb at 13, and then at 31, gone defensive line, but they went this way, and I have to trust that what they're doing, because they've designated him as a foundational piece in this team in drafting him 25. So I have to take what they've done and trading up and getting him, and saying, okay, if you're saying this guy, Aiyuk and Lamb were there neck to neck, and this is who Shanahan wanted, then I can't even hypothetical anything. I'm going to say this is the guy, this is the draft, this is the guy they wanted, and this is how we're going to go with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And, I mean, it makes it kind of seem that maybe the gap was just was too great for them with, like, Javon Kinlaw, which is that much of a better prospect than, like, Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. So I think you want to kind of go within those top 15 picks with dude that has like Hall of Fame potential. And maybe they just didn't see that in CeeDee Lamb or in Jerry Jeudy, and they just felt like Brandon Aiyuk was just as good as what Shanahan said, that Aiyuk was his like favorite wide receiver, which may be true, but at the same time, he's gonna hype up the pick, and he's gonna want to hype up fans because fans are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he said he was his favorite wide receiver," but maybe pull the wool over your eyes. Maybe that's true, but we gotta question everything and be skeptical. But it could be that gap was just not as big between Aiyuk and CeeDee Lamb, and they would have been fine with either one of those players. If Javon Kinlaw's on the board, then that would have been the pick for them. Going back to the cornerback, who was it? The Dolphins selected Noah. God knows how to say his last name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it and disrespect the young man and stuff, but he's out of Auburn. So that was pick 30, and then with the Vikings pick, which we swapped with them, they picked Jeff Gladney, cornerback out of Texas Christian. So
supposedly he was linked, though. Wasn't Gladney linked with the Niners at one point as possibly a player they were going to draft?
I don't know. I didn't see that, but it could be. Yeah, it could be very much the case, man. But hey, the Niners got their first round wide receiver. Wasn't the wide receiver that most people probably expected, but they got their guy, man. So overall, I mean, we know we're not going to get into the other draft picks. Not to say that those players are irrelevant, because hey, George Kittle was a 5th round pick, but we want to talk about the sexy picks, the first, the second rounders, dudes that are more than likely going to have an effect on this team right off the bat and are going to have a chance to compete and be impact players from the very beginning. And those are going to be players that you're going to want to keep your eye on. So that we're just going to kind of touch on those two. So any final thoughts on just the draft overall? If you had some thoughts on those other draft picks or the Brandon Aiyuk pick?
No, I think as far as Brandon Aiyuk, my final thoughts on him would be that it wasn't the name that everybody was hearing, the CeeDee Lambs, the Jerry Jeudy's, and things like that. But when you look at the numbers, he's up there with all of them, in certain categories, and I think he's going to be very effective in this offense. So that's something that maybe people moaned at first, just like, oh, really? But looking at it again, just like we looked at it with Javon Kinlaw, it's a good pick. It's a good pick for this team, and I'm trusting Shanahan once again. and I'm trusting Lynch once again to make the right decision. So I know they're gonna make it work. So I'm okay.
Hell yeah,
I'm
man.
good. I'm good.
Yeah, dude, definitely, man. We're gonna trust the offensive guru that is Shanahan. We'll trust the Stanford man in Lynch. So I think we'll wrap up episode 1, the premiere episode of West Coast Offense. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.